Here's the mixing board that I'm going to attempt repair on today. It's a Soundcraft Spirit LX7. It is not the LX7 II, it's the older one. Problem we've had on it is a couple things. First of all, the auxiliary outputs. You got aux 1 through 6 on each channel. The problem we've been having especially is on aux 1. That seems to be the only one affected. There's a master for it. Aux 1 will frequently not work at all until you turn it up. You really have to turn aux 1 way up, and then all of a sudden it kicks on and it sounds fine. It doesn't sound distorted or anything, but it just, you got to turn it on really loud. And since we're using the aux sends for our headphones, that of course hurts musicians' ears. That's not a good thing. And sometimes, you know, you turn it down too low and it drops out, or it just drops out at random. So that's one problem. The other problem we've had with it has to do with the inserts. We want to run an EQ unit, an equalizer, and I'll show you the back of this thing. Unfortunately it'll be upside down in the video, and I've begun disassembly to save time on the video. Anyway, on the back, the inserts for the main mix are located here. There's the left and right insert, and the jacks aren't working right. It's hard to push the plug in or pull it out, especially. It doesn't work on one channel. The other channel it worked okay, and then it stopped working. Soundcraft apparently is notorious for these insert jacks having trouble, so I'm gonna just replace those. Turns out that the parts are available from Soundcraft. I tried to cross-reference them in DigiKey and couldn't do it. In any case, they were cheap. They were only like $1.50 a piece, so I bought 4 because with shipping, may as well have a few spares. So as I said, well, I've gone ahead and started disassembling this thing. There are a bunch of screws you have to remove. On the back panel there are screws on this lip. You can't see where my finger's at. I'll try to pull you around there. There are a bunch of screws. I'm not sure if it'll show up on the video. I think there's 6 or 8. There's also a bunch of screws along the back, and then there's a row of screws you have to remove down through the center here. So once you pull all of those off, the back panel then can be removed. I can get it, there we go. And I've gone ahead and again disconnected some of the inconvenient stuff. Let me lay this out. There is a ground wire that's connected over to the side here, and it's inconvenient because you're trying to separate the back from the mixer itself. And to get that off, I mean, you can either disconnect it up here where there's a lug with a bunch of grounds, or in my opinion the better solution was to take the beauty cover off the side, this little plastic piece that goes on the side. I took it off with these screws, and that way I could access the ground line here and just disconnect it. That way I can get this out of the way. The other thing I did at this point is I have started to remove this board. I hate these boards the way they're set up. A lot of Soundcrafts are set up where each channel is individual and it's modular, and it just seems like it'd be easier to work on. I've never tried one, but it just seems like it'd be nice to remove that entire channel, be able to slip in another one. I've mixed on those and really like them, but anyway, this one's not that way, and I'm trying to cheat and get this board out without doing everything I'm probably supposed to do. Turns out that the back panel here, where everything plugs in, this back panel all along here can be removed as a separate module. There are screws here which I've already removed. Problem with that is that the first row of stuff on this board, basically the gain knobs at the top, these red knobs here, along with all the other stuff along the top, go into these, I guess you'd call them daughter boards. I'm not sure exactly what Soundcraft calls them, but anyway, these boards. And so to get them out and work on them, if you want to take this whole back panel off, you've got to remove all those knobs, and I'm tired of removing knobs. I'd suggest that you get a I had to remove all these already, the jack holders that are there mechanically, all these nuts. I would suggest a tool like this, or better yet a drill, an electric drill to remove them, because there's quite a few. There's also quite a few screws that have to be pulled out of this in order to get the board loose. So what I'm going to try and do is get this board free without removing the whole darn back panel. We'll see how that goes. I've realized I don't actually have to remove this board. Now that I've got it separate from the back here, I've got enough space to get these out. So I'll just desolder them and then pull them out and put the new ones in. The new ones I actually ordered from Soundcraft. They were cheap. I paid $12 including shipping for 4 of them. Here's the part number for this particular board. It's FH0786. But if you call Soundcraft, or I think Harman is the name of the company, call them. They can help you with probably whatever board you've got. They're very, very helpful with me, and as I said, the parts weren't expensive at all. So while I was at it, even though I only need 2, I went ahead and got 4 in case some of the other inserts mess up. Apparently that's a common problem on Soundcraft boards. The other problems are apparently also fairly common, where the aux sends don't work right because of trouble with these ribbon cables that run back and forth between the boards. What I'm going to do is reflow or resolder the connections on the board wherever they appear. There's 4 of them here, and then more here and here and there, and on the other side, and hopefully fix the aux send problem. I will put a comment in there in the video once I find out. Once I'm done with this, I'll have to install it in the house of worship and see if it's working properly. There is one small problem I noticed, although it's not really big. There are a couple of holes. This is one of the ribbon cable connectors back here, the smaller one, but the bigger one, there are a couple of holes in the solder, although it does not really look like a cold solder joint. It looks like there's still good connection there. I'm going to reflow that as well, and then we'll see if that fixes the problem. I do suspect, of course, that replacing these 2 insert jacks will allow the DBX-EQ module that we have to work with the board. The problem we've been having is that either it doesn't work, or when you plug the stereo 1/4" insert jack in, you can't get it out, or it's very difficult to plug in. And sometimes it works on one channel, most of the time it doesn't, and it has never worked on, I think, the right channel. I don't recall. So we'll see what happens. I've finished the work on the board. I have resoldered all the ribbon cable connections to the board. Also, they are plug-in types, so that's probably why they have the glue here. You can actually get your fingers underneath there enough, especially when the board's out, to ensure that these are seated well. You can just push up on them and ensure that they're actually plugged into the board. I've resoldered this ribbon cable here. I actually reached in way back under here and resoldered the 3 posts for the auxiliary output jack itself. Forgot to do that while I had the board loose, and maybe easier as it is because I couldn't really get the board all the way out. In any case, this one, this one, this one, this one, the one over here, those are all resoldered, and if you do this, be careful. It's easy to bridge on these and connect 2 together. Make sure you don't do that, because who knows what will happen if you short 2 of these posts out. Laying the board down so we can look at the other side. So we've looked all down here. If we look on the other side, I also resoldered the connectors here, here, and here. It's easiest to unplug this to access it and just lay the wires kind of to the side so that you can resolder all of those. I don't know that this will work. We'll see. I have replaced the 2 mix insert jacks. The old ones look very oxidized, but mechanically they look sound, so I'm not sure why it was so difficult to remove and insert plugs. I'm going to try it and look at it mechanically and see if I can make some sense of it, but you can really see the oxidation on these, how discolored those posts are, and that's what people always mention when they talk about these Soundcraft boards and their 1/4" jacks and the problems they have with them. Here's a new one. You can see the difference in the way the posts on it look. They're fresh, clean, shiny, silver color. One other thing interesting about that, there's never seen one like this before, but if you notice, there are 3 posts on here that kind of look like the eye of a needle. Those seem to act sort of like springs when you push them in. I noticed that some of these, the pin itself, the metal, would push back into the jack a bit. So I actually put a small screwdriver in here and pushed the pin toward the board to make sure it was seated as much as possible before I soldered. So as I said, I'll put a comment on this video and let you know whether or not this worked. I'll also try to find where the site where I found the suggestion for resoldering all those ribbon cables, and we'll see if maybe that'll help somebody out there. Anyway, hope this helps some people and maybe resurrects or makes an old Soundcraft board whole. Good luck.